Hello and welcome to the Blood Red Morning Bulletin. I'm stepping in for Ed UK today and I'm joined by Ben Bocsak, also of Liverpool.com. How are you doing, Ben?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, how about you?
Yeah, all good myself. Thank you very much. We're just going to have a quick look through yesterday's game first, and then looking ahead to what comes next for Liverpool. It was pretty routine in the end, wasn't it? I think we both went for 3-0 in our predictions before the game, and sure enough, that's how it panned out. Did you feel confident, sort of, from the word go, really, in this one?
Yeah, I don't think there was ever any doubt really. I think Forest had a few injuries, which obviously helped Liverpool, and I think Steve Cooper sort of pointed out before and after the game, but he said that was not an excuse. And I think the way they set up, you know, if this was Liverpool last season, I would have been a little bit concerned the way they parked it, sort of essentially parked the bus. I think it's fair to say. I mean, that's what their initial approach was anyway. I mean, by the time it got to 2-0, obviously they couldn't do that and it opened up the game. But initially, I think maybe if it was a Liverpool of last season, I would have been a little bit concerned. But with this Liverpool side, with the likes of McAllister and Szoboszlai and Gravenberch in midfield, I don't think there was ever any doubt really. And obviously Darwin Núñez as well. He's on a different kind of form, and when he's in this kind of form, he's kind of unstoppable.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to make in terms of how we might have got on with the same fixture last year. You look at someone maybe like Elanga, who has that pace, and Forest maybe like you say could have got away with that plan of just sit deep and then go over the top and get him to run onto them, but he didn't really have any joy at all, except like you say when things opened up a bit, he had a couple of chances at the back post, which I'm sure Klopp won't be thrilled about. But yeah, the actual plan of just going over the top to him, it got. What do you think the difference is? Do you think it comes in the midfield in terms of the pressing, or do you think it's a change in the defence? Why do you think Liverpool looks so much more secure against this kind of setup?
I think obviously you have very different types of midfielders now. Both Szoboszlai, McAllister, and Gravenberch, they're very comfortable on the ball. They can take players on as well, which helps. Obviously, when you're playing against a low block, and there's a midfielder like Szoboszlai and Gravenberch who can, beat a couple of defenders and open up a little bit of space around them by doing that. So that helps. In the first transition, the first goal, I think McAllister's role was key. The way he regained possession and set off, I think, Salah for the counter attack. So yeah, you have these kind of players who Jurgen Klopp didn't necessarily have before. I mean, yeah, when Fabinho was in great form, he maybe would be able to do that, but I think you could argue that even he didn't have the distribution of McAllister, who's very creative, very confident on the ball. That's something I think Virgil van Dijk always highlights about him. He Van Dijk gets a lot of questions about Szoboszlai and how brilliant he has been, but I think he's really quick to say, well, also McAllister, he's also a brilliant footballer, and I think maybe we don't see he's not as impressive looking as Szoboszlai in terms of his running and everything, but in possession, I think he gives Liverpool something else. And that's before we even mention Gravenberch, who's got that ability as well to win one-on-one situations and make forward runs. And I think that was the key for Liverpool in the end. Szoboszlai got 2 assists. McAllister was involved in the first goal, and I think the midfield was the key here.
Yeah, and you had the commentators saying like it's not Gravenberch's best game. He was a bit off the pace, and maybe there's some truth in it. But if that's what he looks like off the pace, then I think that shows you how much of a good signing he was, because he still wasn't too bad by any means. We won't stay on the midfield for too much longer, but you touched on it there, so just wanted to get your thoughts about how are you feeling overall about McAllister in this number 6 role. Do you think it's kind of a stopgap, or do you think this could be his role now?
I think in certain games it works. So, for example, against Forest, it works. But I do get concerned when there's a midfield overload, like against Brighton. I think there you probably need a bit more of a defensive option, someone similar to Fabinho. And I think in those kind of games, you want McAllister playing a bit further advanced or almost in a double pivot. But in these games, or the Everton one, when Liverpool have most of the possession, are expected to have most of the possession and control the ball. I think it works really nicely because he can control the middle of the park a lot better from a bit deeper in these kind of games. But I do have my concerns still when it comes to sort of tougher challenges or opposition who also like to keep the ball as well. And I think in those games we've seen him struggle, and it probably makes sense for Liverpool long term to be looking at a holding midfielder.
Fair enough. And I suppose the hope for now is that within the next few weeks, months, maybe in the odd game where you don't fancy McAllister in those fixtures, maybe Endo can come in and do it. Like you say, probably not the long-term solution given he's 30 years old, but we saw him have his best game, didn't we, last time he played? So maybe that's something that we could see happen. But moving forward to the front line, I think we just need to say a word on Salah. It feels like we're doing it every week at the moment, but he scored again. I was looking at it after the game. If he'd got that assist against Spurs, which obviously the VAR shambles meant he didn't, but if that had counted as it should have done, he'd be on a run of 16 straight Premier League games with either a goal or assist, which is a league record, breaking his own tally from a couple of seasons ago. I mean, he's just ridiculously consistent. And do you think it almost feels sacrilegious to say, but do you think this is some of his best ever Liverpool form?
Yeah, I mean, it does feel sacrilegious to say that, doesn't it? I mean, I think for me, the best he's ever been is probably his first season when he scored, I think, made 60 goal contributions or something crazy for Liverpool. Certainly, though, I think the last couple of years, I think even last season, he was in really good form, but Liverpool wasn't. So he was kind of overshadowed. His form wasn't picked up or noticed as much. But obviously this season, Liverpool are in a lot better place. And I think certainly he's been the talisman. And I think, there's been a lot of conversations about whether Liverpool should sell him or if he's going to be past his best soon at, turning 32 years old next year. But I think, he's just getting into his best sort of years for Liverpool. And I think even if you look at modern footballers nowadays, the likes of Messi, the likes of Ronaldo, you could make a case for them as well that some of their best football years were at those kind of ages, and they're only starting to drop off now when they're 36, 37, 38 years old. So ideally Liverpool could potentially have another 3-4 years if they decide to keep Salah at this kind of form at his peak level.
Yeah, I mean, Messi's 36 now and looks like he's about to win the Ballon d'Or. I think today, in fact, might be the ceremony. I could be wrong, but it's certainly coming up. So it's you look at it and you think it makes sense to sell him in the summer, maybe with the contract situation and with the potential money that's going to get thrown around. But then you look on the pitch and you think, what was I thinking? How could that possibly make sense? He's absolutely incredible still. So yeah, that's definitely one to watch out for. And obviously we're all hoping that the club can sort of sit down and have those contract talks. But we probably won't be seeing Salah in Liverpool's next game anyway, with the League Cup up next. So probably we'll see a rotated team. What sort of side would you be hoping to see Klopp put out in that one? Is there anyone in particular you'd like to get a closer look at?
I think I'd like to see Kwanzaa start. I've been impressed by him. He came on in the Europa League, but I think he kind of deserves a start. I think Luke Chambers did well as well. He'll probably be one to start. And yeah, obviously you'd expect Wataru Endo, given the fact that he only played 10 minutes at the weekend. Definitely a much changed midfield. I think Curtis Jones is available now, if I'm correct, so he'll probably start that one. Harvey Elliott, I think he had a really positive sort of cameo once again. That's kind of been the theme of his season. He's looked really good in the Premier League when he has come on. And I think, I kind of expect that midfield to start again. And up top, I think that's where the sort of headaches for Klopp come in, because you're saying we're not expecting Salah, but there's not that many options given the situation around Luis Diaz, and obviously Hakpo's back now, but so he'll probably be starting. But obviously the fact that Diaz does have that situation around him does make Klopp's work a little bit more difficult, given the fact that Liverpool then have a game at the weekend as well.
Yeah, and of course, thoughts go out to Diaz and his family. Horrible, horrible news breaking before the game yesterday. It was nice to see how Anfield sort of responded to that, obviously, with the Jota celebration and hearing Diaz's name sung around Anfield. Yeah, it was classy, but horrible situation. Klopp selection headache, very much the least of the issues to come from that. You're right to say that it maybe we will have to see Salah, especially we're not sure if Doak is back fit yet. So maybe the options are not maybe what they could be. I agree about Kwanzaa. I was surprised that we didn't see him from the start in the Europa League. I think he has been impressive when he has been given the start. So I'd definitely like to see more of him. And yeah, Luke Chambers again is one where I think he'll be a big beneficiary of the Andy Robertson injury, and it's perfect really to get a good look at him, because people who have watched the academy more than me, like yourself, for instance, has seen that role he plays with the kind of, he can be left back, he can be left centre back, and we were talking throughout the summer, weren't we, about how maybe that's what Liverpool needs. So to get that chance to sort of give him a run in, among senior colleagues and see if he could maybe be a long-term solution, I think Klopp will value that chance. And Bournemouth is obviously a good side, good level to get that test at. So yeah, that'll be an interesting one to watch out for. But I think that's more or less all we have time for. So Ben, thank you very much for jumping on and joining me. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. Be sure to have a look at liverpool.com throughout the day. It will have plenty more content for you. And tune into Blood Red as well, where we will have a lot more content as well. But for now, we'll see you again tomorrow morning, and have a great day.